Hey, welcome back. This is our SQL lecture for the week. And today we're going to go over subqueries and CTEs, or common table expressions. These are methods. These are more advanced SQL methods. They're used to you can get data from other tables this way, or you can do recursive type queries using this stuff. So let's start with subqueries. So subqueries are queries nested inside other queries. They can be used turn a multi-step query into a single query. I mean, that's the main point. You can definitely make more complex queries this way. And they can also be used to allow you to query data from another table, and you can use the data from a query to be input for another query. You can be found in the select, the from, or the where having clause. In the select statement, you could actually use as you see here, I have an example of a just standard select column. I got two columns from a table. Then I have this one, it's an actual select statement that I'm aliasing as a column name, but I'm selecting from another table here. So you can actually use a select statement as a column. And here's an example I have within the data sets we have where, so I'm bringing from our sports stats table, I'm bringing the player name, the team, and the points they scored, and this is per game. So you see Frank here, he scored 8 points on this one, he scored 8 points on that one. And then I want the average points scored from sports stats as all scored. So I have the average points scored for the Reds, okay? Because that's the only team I'm looking at. I have a where clause here with the Reds. And then I have this next one, which is an average points scored for everybody in the sports stats table. So this select statement, even though it's from the same table, is not affected by my where statement here because it is its own query. And if I go here, if I bring up our SQL server here and run it, I can show you. Let me pull up one. Yeah, this is it right here. Let me get a better view for you. All right, so you see here, player name, team, average. I'm just gonna, just for fun, I'm gonna just filter this out real quick. All right, so you look at this and I run this. Gotta connect, sorry. And where did I go? I'm in the wrong database. All right, there we go. Let me run it. And you'll get just a couple columns. So we get the average points scored, but the points scored per person, the average points scored, for the Reds here, Okay, and this, of course, it's sorted by player, team, points scored type thing. All right, then I have this one, I have the select statement. And this select statement, if I run it by itself, is just the average points scored across everybody. So if I just run this select statement, which I can do by, quick. Just want to run just this one little part. And I run this, and you'll see I get 13. That's the average for everybody, for all teams, if you didn't filter by the Reds or something like that. So when I put this together and run it, the entire thing will come out with 13 at the end of here. So it's not affected by the filters or any of that. So that's using your subquery in a select statement. So let's pop back over here to our deck here, and now we can put it in a where or having statement if you want. Here I just use an example. So we just sit there, select column from table one, and I say where column is in selecting columns from table two. I have to use in because I got more than one result. If you got only one result from table two, like if you did an average of points scored, you could use an equal to, but we're using an in, so that's what I did here. So what I did here is we've got our tutor session, which, if you remember the table, only has the tutor session, the tutor ID, the subject, and the student ID. I only want the tutors whose names start with C or K. So in order to do that, I would have to join to the tutor table, which had the tutor names. And so if I can do this by creating a join statement, joining on, and doing a where, or that's actually a more complex, more computationally costly query. So what we're going to do here is just in the where clause, I've got another select statement where I'm selecting tutor ID from tutor, where names like C with the wildcard or K with the wildcard. So it's only going to return the tutor IDs for tutors whose names are C or K. And if I go into our SQL Server, change my view here, and I pop over to the one with that, I can find it. All right, here we go. That's what it's going to return. If you want to go real quick and take a look, just so you can see, just so refresh real fast, click all from tutor. Again, sorry. Make sure we're in the right database and run this now. And so you can see I've got a Bob, a Carol, a Curtis, a Keith, Jose, Brittany, and a Kristen. I only want Kristen, Keith, Carol, and Curtis. You know, it's 193, 220, 923, 840, or not, sorry, 266. So this is what I'm doing here. It's in statements. When I run this now, you'll see there we have that 923 and the 193, which if you remember from here, 193 was Carol. So all that came back, because without it, if you look at the original, where there's a lot more options, there's a total of 8 here. When I run this, we come back with only 4. And it's just those 2 people. All right, so that's using it as a where statement. You can also use this in a having statement. Let's go back to the deck now. And the last one, we're going to use it in the from statement. So you can actually derive a table. So I could create a derived table and select from it like I would from like I'm just selecting from a table. So in here, I created from the table cust orders. I selected customer ID, price, payment from cust orders where department is like T. And then just instead of derived table, I just used A. And then I said where payment's cash. So I'm able to add, filter it twice. So I can bring back toys and tools and the payment is cash. All right. And if I go to run this, we'll bring up SQL Server again, and it should be this one. Wait, this one's the one's probably not connected. So let me do real quick so we don't run into the error again. Let me connect it and bring it to the right database. No, this one's not connected. Connect. There, I gotta try to run it. It's gonna. Oh, let me fix your view here. Sorry about that. Fix the view, connect, and it's going to fail because I got to get over to the right database now, and now it'll run. Okay, so there we go. So you end up with cash only, and I got, if we remember from cust orders, we had tools and toys. So if you remember, cust orders has a couple hundred records or like 103 records down there. Yeah, so we got rid of a bunch. We all brought back as tools and toys. That's all we brought back. We brought it back into this where payment equals cash, and so that's using it as a from statement. You're actually it's almost like making a little temp table within your SQL statement there. Okay, and obviously these are very simplified versions of what you can do with this. This can get much more complex, and you can have multiple sub-nested queries in there. But I just kind of want to introduce you to the idea of subqueries and where you can use them. Now let's go back to the deck, and now we're going to talk about CTEs. CTEs are common table expressions. They're a tool that allows you to develop, I didn't learn how to develop a better way of spelling, a temporary named data set, kind of like a temp table that works within a select, insert, update, delete, merge. The difference between a CTE and a temp table is a temp table will run, you can, once you build a temp table, as long as you stay logged into SQL, you can keep using that temp table. Where a CTE, you can use it once and just for the statement below. So the syntax works like this. This is just an expression name you give it, and you're going to list the columns. You're going to say as, you're going to define your CTE, and then you're going to have a SQL statement. All right. Let's see it. It's a lot easier to explain. So I'm going to say with CTE sales ags, I just named it that. And in parentheses, I have cust ID, total spend, and year. Okay. And I say as, then here is my CTE, this in these parentheses here. Select cust ID, sum of price, and year. I'm taking the year from our tran date. Our tran date is actually a date timestamp. From cust orders, I'm going to group by the cust ID and the year tran date, okay? Notice in my group, I still have to put the year there for it, okay? So then when I run this, I can select cust ID total spend, because total spend is sum, because that's literally just a count down here. I'm renaming my variables up, right? Notice I don't have to name them in here because they're named by the variable up here. From the CTE sales ag, where year is 2017. Okay, let's go ahead and pop over and play with this one real quick. Let's see if I can find out where it is. There it is. I'm just going to execute so it connects again and fails. Then I'll bring it over a second. Go to the right database. All right, now we're good. All right, so let's start with the idea. Let's just run this. Let's start by, running cust orders real quick. Let's just do that. Select star from cust orders. Because a couple things I want to show you here. First of all, the one here is that the tran date, you notice it's a timestamp here. You can do month, year, so I could do the same thing. I could say month tran date, and it'll give me the month value of this, okay? So now you see 2, 3, 4, So the year returns just the year. So it extracts the year from my statement. So I don't have to I don't have to keep, doing like a filter run. So extracts the year. So that's how that does. So we're going here, select cust ID sum price right here from all this. Execute this, and that's what we get. So I'll have a custom ID, sum of the price, and the year. Okay, so that's as much as this customer's bought in a year. Total, but notice here I call it total spend. This is where I've named my variables. You don't have to put the as like you would in a view here. This is what you name your columns. And then I can select cust ID from total spend. So if I try this now, it's not going to do much of anything. Oops. Where'd I go? Sorry. Come on, get back. Okay, so if I try running this, it's going to fail. Not going to do anything. There's no C object. But when I run this all together, there we go. I get cust ID and total spend. It got the names from up there. But now if I try running this again, it should fail. Yep. See, the CTE, unlike a temp table, where a temp table is good for the entire time you're logged in, a CTE is literally a one-use, one-trick pony. So you use it once, it creates a temporary table or a temporary data set you can work on. So again, it's common table expressions and subqueries. Again, this is advanced SQL. It's not going to be on the test. This is just kind of stuff I want you guys to see, get kind of a feel for some more advanced stuff than just basic querying. But all right, thank you guys very much. I look forward to seeing you next class.